Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Empire Life podcast. I'm your host, Allison Ramsey, the founder of Empire Life. And today we are with Tina Sangermano, and I'm going to be interviewing her about her life and challenges that she's gone through in her business. And we interview entrepreneurs from all around the world to guide and support you in scaling and launching your online empire. And she is the founder of Women Biz Mix and Neuro Revolution. And I'll hand it over to her to intro herself a little bit more.
Hi there. Thanks so much, Allison, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Tina Sangermano, and I'm a mom of 3. I have a set of twins, and I love helping women really just get connected, and that's what I do with Women Biz Mix. And then I also love helping people use the power of their minds to create the life that they want and that they deserve. And that's what I do with Neuro Revolution. And with Neuro Revolution, we train women to become certified in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, as well as hypnosis, life and success coaching, time techniques, and EFT.
Wow. I love all of it. So I want to dive right in and ask you, what are some challenges that you feel like have really helped you in your business that you've overcome and that perhaps even led you to what you're doing right now?
So this is a good question. Okay, so challenges, you know what? One of the things that I discovered coaching, I wanted to be a coach many years ago, almost 15 years ago. I came across an article, I read about something, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for me, because I was always jealous of other women who just kind of knew what they wanted to do. Like they knew they wanted to be a doctor or knew they wanted to be an opera singer. And I never felt that until I read this article about becoming a life coach. The problem was I told my boyfriend at the time, who was like a Midwestern guy and more conservative at that time, and he was not as thrilled as me. And essentially he poo-pooed the whole idea. He's like, why don't you go to school to become, a social worker or a therapist? And I wasn't in line with that. I wasn't aligned with that. And so instead of following my dreams, because it was kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you become a life coach? Nobody needs that. And this was, again, 15 years ago, right? Nobody needs that. Never heard of that kind of career. It's kind of a joke. And so instead, what I did is I went and I would start other businesses and create other businesses, because I loved being an entrepreneur. But what would happen is I would lose my fire for that, because I wasn't really excited about what I was doing. It was kind of more as a way of making money versus actually doing what I wanted and helping people. And so my biggest hurdle was, coming back. It took me 7 years till I actually went to school to become a life coach. And even that was a challenge, just admitting that that's what I really wanted. And so that was one of the biggest challenges, I think, for me, when it came to believing in myself, believing in my own inner voice of what it is that I wanted to do, and being okay with that. Yeah.
And this over time helped you to be a lot stronger in your conviction of following your intuition, listening
Absolutely.
to your voice.
Yeah. And paying attention. So this is another thing. I think paying attention to what it is that I wanted, right? Just like you're saying, listening to that inner voice and I think there's like a worthiness in there, just like as far as, boy, am I really worth having what it is that I want? Can I dream, or do I need to just take whatever's kind of given to me? And I think, yeah, getting in tune with what it is that I really wanted to do, and what I was inspired to do or be. So yeah, that was a huge battle, because it's a mindset thing too. It's a huge battle to just being okay with, I am worth it. I am worth having what it is that I want or doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I completely agree. I know that even though this is my third company with Empire Life, when I told my parents that I was going to launch another company about 5 years ago, they said, well, like, why? You already make good money as a software developer. Why would you want to do that? Just stay where you are. Like,
Yep.
kind of, why would you want to rock the boat? What's the,
Yep.
why are you trying to do this? You're making us worry. I'm like,
Yeah.
I get that you're worried, and I get that you may have a fear that I'm not going to be stable. I guarantee you everything's going to be okay. Everything will be okay.
Good thing. I mean, yeah, I think parents do that, right? They do their best to protect their kids, and that's their intention. And it's like and there's also experience, right?
Of
But
course.
but it's like you do need to essentially listen to that inner voice, and in a way it's like make the mistakes while you're young versus later on. you know
That's true, and we're never too old to start our own business.
no no
I've genuinely believe that there's something. Like some of our clients are in their 60s and they have a lot of wisdom and a lot to teach and how to guide or coach their clients. And I believe every person, even in their 80s, every 90s, every age has gifts that they can bestow to
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now, I think women, I mean, people in general, they're living longer. They have all of this experience and expertise. And, I think it's great, one, that it's more of an opportunity right now than it was when they were, if you're talking about somebody who's 80, when they were 40 years ago, it wasn't that popular to become an entrepreneur, and it wasn't as accessible to become an entrepreneur. But now it's like, hey, you don't really need a lot to get started, and if you have all of this experience and expertise, it's like, why not? And you want to help people, and you want to, I think we both focus on people who have a message they want to share with the world, and they have a passion for helping people. And it's like, yes, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. For
No,
sure. I happen to be the only entrepreneur in my family,
no.
so it has been seen as a little odd sometimes.
Mhm.
And there was some resistance. I feel now, or every year, it seems to get better with that kind of.
Yeah, because it's just what you do now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's either you become an entrepreneur or you work for somebody who is an entrepreneur. So yeah, why not just do it?
Exactly. It's become so much of part of who I am or what I do with my family, even that
Yeah.
when all the corona things started happening, I thought for a split second to go back. And I'll just be honest, I thought, well, I've had that thought sometimes in the back of my head when things have come up, when stress or and a lot of anxiety with everything that's going on.
Yep.
And I mentioned that to my brother, for example, and he was like, "Wait, why? Wait, no, you're an entrepreneur. No, don't think like that. Like you, I mean, I work for a company. That's not you."
Aw, that's nice.
So,
That's good to have that support, and
mm,
I think that, I'm sure, like, if you come from a family that, yeah, isn't used to creating money for yourself, that is, yeah, it's scary. I guess I can see it as being scary, right? But it is
mhm.
a mindset shift, because it's like, really, you are always making money for yourself. You have to, if you're going to a 9 to 5, you are still making your own money. You still have to go there. Still have to work. You still have to show up and get there on time and do the work.
Mhm.
The only difference, I think, if you are moving out of the 9 to 5 and into becoming an entrepreneur, that's a huge mindset shift that you can't take lightly, um, because you have to get okay with people paying you their money. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can feel like, if you're new and you've never done it before, you can feel like you're taking people's money because you're just quote unquote, helping them create a better life. And so, yeah, making that shift and being okay with getting paid from somebody else, like another person versus a
Mm-hmm.
company, a
Mm-hmm.
paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen that come up with a lot of my clients
Yeah.
and in my online courses for sure. That's been it, when you look at it, when we look at that logically, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they are getting, like you said, if they're going to a 9 to 5, they are getting paid, and they wouldn't think twice about, yeah, I deserve that paycheck. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know for sure. But when
But
it's
yeah.
it's so different when we're accepting money, especially huge amounts of money.
Yes. And it's, because it goes back to those money beliefs, right? I think it comes back to negative money beliefs and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there definitely is a lot of mindset work that has to be shifted.
Yes, I have heard that exact sentence from clients before when we first started supporting them, and
Yep.
saying, I don't feel right about taking someone's money or accepting money for something I naturally do. So there's
Interesting.
a
Yeah.
lot of times the way that we're supporting people is something that we love doing, and that's also part of the mindset shift, I feel like. And this is so effortless for me. I am so good at this. I love doing it. It feels like I'm not even working. And
Love
that's the
it.
that's the point that we want to be at. We want to feel like we're not working. We want to feel grateful every day and wake up and bless you.
Thank you. I'm
We
proud.
want to feel like I am so grateful
Life
that
is
I get,
easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
easy. I'm so grateful that I get to do my passions every day in my area of expertise. And yes, I deserve to be paid for that. Even if at some point it takes me a lot less time to do it, I still deserve to be paid for all those years of experience. And
Yeah.
how, because this is more effortless for me than somebody else, that that's why they hired me, or that's why they want me to support them.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, and I think it's just like that time that they've spent their time creating their expertise in their manner, and it's like, and yeah, and you're doing your thing or I'm doing my thing, and it's like, okay, well, I've created this, and it's only easy because it was hard once, right? Because you've been doing it for
Mm-hmm.
so many years. So yeah, I think getting that mindset that it's okay to get paid, and even that is becoming more normal, right? I think it's becoming more of a, yeah, of course you're paying me. Of
Yeah,
course you would. It's becoming more normal for people to accept it as well too. So yeah.
that's so true. I mean, I remember in my very first business, and well, my first real LLC that I registered, I I had my first client before I had finished my master's. It was my first business was related to nutrition and helping primarily women with their hormones and I are their eating, and helping them to cycle off of certain medications into more natural modalities. And
Mm.
she wanted to pay me. My very first client wanted to pay me, and I was like, well, no, I haven't finished my master's yet. And I also called my program and asked, could I see a client before I had actually finished the program? And they said, yeah, just be honest with her. Like, you need to tell her that you haven't quite finished. So she's like, I still want to see you, and how much do you want me to pay you? I want to pay you this much. I want to pay you more than this. And I was like, but I haven't finished. Don't you hear me? She's like, I hear you, but you already have a wealth of knowledge. You're already ready to see clients. She
Lovely.
reflected back to me what I really, definitely what I needed to hear, and my own self-worth, that I needed to get to that point. I wasn't quite there yet when she reflected that back to me.
Yeah, we put these limitations on, right? Well, wait until I graduate, right? Or
Exactly.
wait until I finish this. And it's like, well, no, that's not what people are paying for.
Mm-hmm.
People really aren't paying for your certificate or your graduation, your diploma. They're paying for you to get them that result. And so she knew that you're going to get her that result. So it's like, okay, I need to pay you for that. I need to feel good. And I think the other block that a lot of people don't think about is like, if you don't allow payment, you're robbing the other person as
Mm-hmm.
well,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, right? Like
Yeah.
you're actually robbing them of feeling complete, like there was an even exchange of money, because if they're just taking this from you, it may feel good for like 2 seconds, but then after that, they're going to be like, something's not right. And so you're leaving them with a guilty feeling
Mm-hmm.
ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to be like, I need to do something. So I think accepting payment when you do something like that, there's, when you're actually working, this is what you're working and this is what you're doing. Accepting payment is it equals the balance, because it has to be a give and take. And so, yeah, I think that's the other way to look at it. Look at feeling comfortable
Yeah, for sure.
with being paid.
Yeah, she did tell me that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel, her exact words, like I wouldn't feel okay with not paying you. So please
Yeah.
tell me how much you want it to be. And if you don't tell me the amount, I'm going to make the amount and I'm still going to pay you, like before we leave.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it was
That's so
really sweet. And she was my very first client in that business. So it really set a great tone for me too, to stay within those boundaries and understand my self-worth. I know I
nice.
had another client that he opened up some of the natural medicines in our consultation and started using them, and then he didn't want to pay for it, even though he opened them and started using them. And I said, well, you opened it and you used it, it's yours, and this is how much it is. And I continued to hold that boundary, and he was like, well, I thought that you were just giving it to me. It's like, no, I also had to pay for those, and
Yeah.
they didn't get here for free, and this is how much it is. So really have continuing to have that mindset. And as time went on, now in my third business, I'm very comfortable with receiving and continuing to focus on it's
Yeah.
related to me and how I expand the
Yeah.
container that I can hold and how large it is related to how much I can receive. So keep
I love it.
focusing on expanding that container.
So what I love about that is that that was like a test, right, for you,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of, hey, here's somebody who wants something for free. Are you going to stay, basically hold your ground? And it's more for your own self, right? It's more to say like, wait, this is wrong. I don't care who you are, what you think, but this is how it actually works. This is a business. I'm not here to, um, you know, just, it's not like you're getting a snack at the mall, a free taster at the mall. That's not how we work. But I think it's like a self, I think that people run across tests. When you make a decision or
Mm-hmm.
you're shifting, what will happen is a test will come your way. And it's that moment where you need to decide to, do I just, say it's okay, just take the nice, easy way out? Or do you stand up and say something that and protect your self-worth, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, and
That's
then
that's so true, because it was at a point when I was shifting. I don't remember in the last few years that I haven't had an experience like that in a really long time.
nice, good. You passed the test. Well, I mean, because then you set that energy, right?
Mhm.
Like nobody would be ridiculous enough to like test you in that way, because your energy has shifted out of uncertainty to, oh no, I'm certain,
Yeah, exactly. Have you had some experiences like that too?
I'm sure I have. And I'm like, This is a small one. Well, it's all something, right? But it just, I get caught up with, even when I was creating this, creating Women Biz Mix just a couple months ago. I wanted to make it accessible and, something that would be affordable, and just like, I just wanted to bring women together. But, at first I started off with $27, but I'm like, it just didn't sit well with me. And not that I raised it to $127, but I'm like, you know what? $27 is just not right. It doesn't feel good. Like $37 feels better. And I know it's only like $10, but it was a small shift that's like, you need to get into that feeling that's like, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I feel that way, whether you are charging, more, I don't, thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars. It doesn't matter for what you're offering, right? You just need to have that feeling like that it feels comfortable for you. Like it feels right. It feels aligned with you. I think that is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of those things where I shifted. I'm like, it's only $10. Like in my head, I was thinking it's only $10, 27 or $37, but I'm like, yeah, but $37 feels better. I mean, like,
Yes,
but $47, I didn't feel like, no, I don't want it to be $47, but $37.
I like that you brought that up. And as we shift into that mindset too, well, something happened for me the other day. Usually it's a good fit, and I think too, being comfortable with the price we're accepting, it may not be the best fit for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They may. The other day, a client wanted to go with someone just based on price, and I fear that she might eventually be burned and not get what's delivered to her, because my price was really fair, and it was quite a lot of work that she wanted. So to go lower than that, I wouldn't feel good about doing that work, having my team support her in that way.
Right.
And I worried, I had a concern for the other person who maybe she accepted to support her, that had lowered their price that much, with the fear of, we also have to be aware that the value and that exchange, if we really want that value, when we're getting services ourselves for our business, we also need to give their value and understand that we're going to receive that back.
Yes.
for the service. So that's something.
Because otherwise you're going to feel, if you did, right, if you would have lowered your prices for her, you would be, you would just feel, what's the word that I'm thinking of?
Out of integrity. Maybe?
Yeah, not out of integrity, but you dread working for that person. It's like, okay, cool. I got some money. I don't know what you charge, but let's just say it's $1,000, but you really wanted 1,500. It's like, yay, I got a new client, but then you're still bitter over that $500. If you really lowered your value, right? Like if you really, like, that doesn't feel right, but you really want to close the deal. And if you're working and you're not feeling good about working for them, because you feel like you're not getting that equal value of money, right? You're not getting paid what you feel like you are worth, then you don't I think, like, you're not going to be as excited. You're not coming with the energy that you could, because you still have that twinge. And it's like, it's so much better saying, you know what? No, if you don't, if it's not in line with you, then that's okay. Like if you don't want to, like, essentially, this is what I need, because I know you're going to get the result that you are looking for with me. And I know that I'm going to help you get that. Right. So it's like, it needs to be, you don't want to have that negative energy or the lack of energy. I think that's what it is. It's like that lack of energy, like, okay, this person's paying me and we're aligned, and I'm going to give them this like good product or service, so yeah, I think it's
I completely agree. And I was I think it takes a lot of personal work to get to that point, to be able to let that go, instead of thinking, oh, I missed out on that and I could have just matched that price that someone else matched her for.
Mm-hmm.
Really holding that space, and like, there are more clients, there's always an abundance, and there's clients that's a no-brainer for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
I mean,
I
I've
want that
done
value.
that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done that before a long time ago. And I remember thinking that this is why you don't like accept less, if that makes sense. Like this is why you don't do it. Like, and maybe in that you learn where your price range is, right? Because some people can throw out a number. It's like, hey, it's 10 grand or it's 20 grand for 6 months. And it could seem way too high at the time. But as you get experience, you're like, yeah, of course it's 10 grand or,
Mm-hmm.
of course it's XYZ. So, yeah. And it's just like, okay, I know for now on, that's not a good, down here, this price is a little too low for me to price it at. And I think it's a big question that many people have, right? Like, how do I price my services when there are new coaches and stuff? Like, how do I price it? And, there's the market that will kind of help dictate it. But then there's also like, well, focus on what you're bringing to the table, focus on the result that you're promising people, focus on how you feel when you say it as well. Like your body kind of tells you that this feels right, or like you're saying this number out of fear. If you're saying, if just again numbers, but like if you're saying $100, but it feels like you're just giving it away at $100, and you think that you're going to get a bunch of customers just because it's only $100, but if you raised it to $200, that feels more in line, then you would want to go with that and just get the people, because you want to come in there with that good energy. I don't know.
I completely agree.
Listen to
For
your body.
sure.
That's my
For
point.
sure. Listen to your voice, listen to your intuition. And the market research, like you said, is important too, in being vulnerable and asking the people.
Yeah.
Like when we were setting the price for people enrolling and being published in our book, I ask a lot of women on these calls, or on calls, like, what would you want to pay? What do you feel like is too high? What do you feel, what price have you been told before that
Nice.
you were like, oh my gosh, that's too high, I feel really uncomfortable investing in that amount? And what's too low of a price where you would feel, is this worth my investment? Because there's that side too.
Yeah.
And what do you want to pay?
Yeah.
What would you feel comfortable with?
Nice.
Yeah, being vulnerable.
I know I've heard other people like say it would be $2,500 to write a book. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is
there's a lady locally that charged 2,500. So that's the highest I think I've heard, where the lowest being like 200. And I've had some ladies say, oh, there's a fee, we're probably not in full alignment, and that's okay. There's ways that I can support them in other ways. And then there's a lady, the first lady I talked to about it, enrolled on the call, on a 15-minute call. So she was like, I want to pay this amount. And I said, okay, let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah, because it felt good for me too.
Yeah.
It felt good for her. And because
it's got to be a win-win-win, right? It has to be a win-win-win. And just because it's kind of scary for somebody, like I remember being scared to invest $4,500 into a coach, but it's scary doesn't equal bad, if that makes sense. Feeling that excitement, that fear, and like, oh my gosh, you're parting with this money. It doesn't always, there's so many emotions tied to it. It's like, okay, there's fear, there's excitement, there's possibility and hope and anticipation, right? So there's so much that's lined up, that I think when people have a mindset about investing in money, or maybe clients investing in them. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is when people are coming to me and paying me money, it's like, okay, that's when knowing your worth is so powerful. And yeah, that's it.
So powerful. And I wanted to also ask you, what do you do personally when you start to feel some resistance coming up in yourself?
um Feel it, but then question it, question, okay, what is it, what am I feeling? The biggest tip is answering those questions that come up. So if there's fear or resistance coming up, and okay, you're just like, well, wait, I don't know, should I do this, should I not do this? What if, there's a lot of people are like, well, what if I fail, what if I can't do it, what if nobody comes to me, what if da da da. So let's just say your fear is like, what if I start this business and nobody buys anything from me and it's a big fail, right? Answering that question, well, what if you do start this business and what if you fail? Well, how would I fail? I wouldn't fail because I'm so ambitious, I'm not going to let this thing fail. And then like, well, what if nobody comes to me? Well, I'm going to have to up my marketing, I'm going to have to do XYZ. I'm going to make sure I have to have a bigger plan. So I think that when people have that resistance, they need to identify it and ask the questions, like figure out what questions are going on in their head that are like pushing that resistance out, but then answering those questions. Because a lot of people just leave it at the questions and they leave all their questions unanswered, and it just leaves that big open space of unknown or unanswered questions, and then they like shy away and back up. But it's like, oh my gosh, what if I invest this money in a person, and well, not in a person, but what if I invest this money and I give this person $5,000 and I don't get anything from it? Well, you know what? Actually, there's no way I won't get anything from it. I'm going to learn. You would answer all of those questions. So that's, I think, the biggest thing is answering the questions that your fear asks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Taking the step to ask yourself those questions, learning how to ask yourself those questions, and then not avoiding it, even if it feels uncomfortable.
Yep,
Because it
absolutely.
might feel extremely uncomfortable to sit in that while you're answering them.
Yeah.
Ask yourself and sit there and really breathe through it.
Yeah, and I'm really feeling it, because if you can identify it in your body, you can identify that feeling in your body and you let it just move, it will move, or you can breathe it out. Like that feeling will eventually shake off if you acknowledge it and like see it, and making sure that you're not just labeling it as, oh my gosh, I'm too scared to. But it's like, okay, well, what is that feeling? Like, or just making sure that I can't because I'm too scared, right? Some people like do that.
Mm-hmm.
um, and making sure you're labeling it right or not labeling it. I think that's the other thing, just like, it's a feeling. What's the feeling? Is it excitement or is it anxiousness? Because those feel very similar, inside your body. And so I think breathing it out, feeling it, and yeah, chatting with yourself and letting yourself know that, you need to pump yourself up. I think that's the other thing is, it's so easy talking to yourself about how scary it is and how much fear it is, and change. People are so scared of change, but then really empowering yourself, and knowing that I'm going to get the information that I need to from this is going to move me forward, this is going to help me, this is going to like propel me, and just like, I'm strong, I can do this. And I think just really like putting in that, not just affirmations, but really like building yourself up, so, and believing it too.
Yeah.
Believing that it's an empowered decision, not one based off of fear.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said about the affirmations too. And I believe in myself. I I'm proud of myself. This is going to help me go further to get what I want, or go from point A to point B a lot quicker. This is worth it. I can do this. I will put in the work, or,
Yeah.
like
Setting that intention, right? Like setting an intention. I'm going to invest this, and this is what I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned, is setting that intention that I'm going to make this happen, whatever this is. I'm going to get the result. I'm going to move this far along in my business, and this is what's going to happen when I invest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of personal mindset work that goes along with that investing. I mean, the coach can't, or businesses can't wave a magic wand. It's an energy exchange. And
Yes.
setting that intention, I'm showing up, I'm investing this, and then I'm showing up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being committed to yourself. It's almost like investing is a commitment to yourself. And there's a lot that can be with people, but like even that worthiness, that you're worth spending the money on being coached, and or going through training, or hiring a service, that you're worth
Mm-hmm.
it, or your
Mm-hmm.
business is worth it too, in your case.
That's true. That's true. I have heard women refer to their business sometimes as, oh yeah, I have this little side thing going on, or have this little, and I usually invite them, like, this is going to be huge.
Lovely.
Like, you are worth it. You aiming to show them that they are worth it. So I do invite everyone listening to this to not diminish what you have going on, even if it is a side hustle right now. It can eventually be a full-time hustle, and it is a full-time job, full-time company, and it is worth it to focus on your dreams.
It's so true. I think you're right. Like, I know that I've been guilty of saying it's
Mm-hmm.
just this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally guilty of doing that. And it is a mindset, like, no, this is providing for your family. No, this is this is really helping people. Like, it's not just a little business. Um and I think that comes from that worthiness of women not wanting to step on anybody's toes, or
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, doing so many things.
I agree. And before we hop off, Tina, I wanted to also ask you, what are the top 3 concepts that you would like to leave the audience with today?
Cute. Okay. um One, trust your intuition, right? Trust your intuition. Like, take the minute to ask yourself what it is that you really want. um One of the that was a huge moment for me, is to really just sit with that question. The second thing is write it down. So I have, like, before I was broke in Vegas a while, like this was well, maybe more than that now. Um, about 10 years ago, I was broke in Vegas, and really just, I didn't know what I wanted. Like, and it took one of my coworkers to come, and she was just like, here, write down a list of 10 things that you want. And so, I'm like, I know you need to write down your goals. But I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I wrote down the 10 things that I wanted, and it took me a while. So it wasn't just like, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this. I was like, really, what do I want? And I took 2 days to figure out what it is that I wanted. But what I wrote down was like, and when I say I was broke, I was literally living like paycheck to paycheck, if that, right? And occasionally I would have to like borrow money from friends to make it and whatnot. So I wrote down, I wanted $5,000 in my savings, which was huge at the time. Like, I didn't have any savings at all before. I wanted like $150,000 for a house, a down payment on a house. I wanted a BMW convertible. I wanted a Louis Vuitton purse. I wanted a kick-ass diamond ring. And I wrote down all of these things. And within like a year and a half, 8 of those things that I had written down were like, I had them. So I wanted a husband and a kids,
Mhm.
so my next tip would be to write down your list of 10. Write down 10 things that you want. Um, just so that you can admit that. I think it's like admitting what you want and knowing that you're worthy of having it and that you can actually achieve it. And then follow, the third thing would be like take that action that you need to take. So I wrote down on that list, I wanted a husband, I wanted kids. Well, my aunt a couple months later called me out of the blue and she was like, "Hey, Tina, do you want to meet this guy?" And I was like, "Oh my God, she's trying to set me up." And I'm like, I really wanted to say no. But then that little voice inside my head was like, "Well, you said you wanted a husband and kids. Nobody's knocking down your door right now. You need to at least meet this guy and say hello." And so instead of saying no, which I really wanted to do, I was like, yeah, and in my head, I was like, I meet people every day. I can say hello and goodbye. It'll be no big deal. And so saying yes, or taking that inspired action that leads you to what it is that you want. So
Mm,
yeah,
that's
those
perfect.
are my
Thank
three
you.
tips.
Yeah,
Write
thank
down
you,
what you
Tina.
want.
And
Yeah.
how can people contact you? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, cool. So yeah, I am on Instagram at Hey Tina Maria. Or let's see here, or I think that's the best. You can, yeah, we're at Women Biz Mix. Um, you can come and claim a free ticket at womenbizmix.com to our events. We have a networking event every Wednesday where we bring women together and we split them up into groups of 3, and it's a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, I would definitely invite you to come and join that if you want to connect with other women entrepreneurs and ask questions, learn and grow, and share who you are and what your business is. It's a lot of fun. So, and if you're interested in learning NLP and hypnotherapy and EFT, we also have courses for that. So you'll go to neuro-revolution.com. But
Perfect.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Tina.
Thanks so much, Allison.